All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome tonight to Midnight Momentum. We will be going over today preference assessment versus reinforcer assessment. Please keep in mind that this is very brief. This is not intended to go over everything that is essential of these topics, but it is for you to have an outline, brief understanding of these topics. So let's get started. Here we have stimulus preference assessment and reinforcer assessment side by side so that you guys can see the difference. They're very alike, but at the same time, very different. And they have a completely different purpose, meaning that for stimulus preference assessments, we have asking, we have free operant observation, and then trial-based methods. And then we have reinforcer assessment on the other side. We have concurrent schedules, multiple schedules, and progressive ratio schedules. Don't be alarmed. We're going to get into them now. So for asking, there's 3 different ways. We can ask the person, ask significant others, or offer a pre-task choice. So when we're asking the person, just think about it as open-ended questions. This is a typo. Just pretend that says questions. The person who will be receiving the reinforcer. So which one would you work for? Think of it like that. And it is a direct measurement because we are asking the person themselves, what is it that you want? What is it that you would work for? What do you prefer? And then we have asking significant others. So this is also another form of open-ended questions, but to the people who know the person who will be receiving the reinforcer. So this is mom, dad, abuelita, abuelito, anyone directly working with your client. So which would he or she work for? Those are the questions that we're going to be asking whoever has some sort of interaction with your client. It could be a teacher, other type of therapist as well. And this is an indirect measurement because we're not getting the answer directly from our client. And then offer pre-task choice. So this is giving the person who will be receiving the reinforcer a choice between a set number of items. So this is when we might say, what do you want to earn for doing the task? So think of it as a direct measurement as well. The difference between offering a choice and asking the person is they can answer nothing. I don't want to work for nothing. And then if you offer a choice, they kind of have to pick something. They can still say nothing, but higher chance of them choosing something when you offer a choice of some sort. Now let's move along to free operant observation. We have contrived free operant observation, naturalistic free operant observation. So this is when we have contrived is free access to a set of reinforcers. We have to measure the amount of time spent with a stimulus. Contrived free operant observation. And then naturalistic free operant observation is free access to the entire environment of reinforcers. We have to measure the amount of time spent with a stimulus. So both we're measuring the amount of time. The difference is that this one, it is a little bit more controlled. And this one is happening in the natural environment of the client. Pretty self-explanatory. Just if you ever forget, just try not to forget the definitions of the first words. Next, we have trial-based methods of stimulus preference assessments. We have paired choice, multiple stimulus, and single stimulus, also known as successive choice. And then paired choice is also known as forced choice. Sorry, that was kind of like a tongue twister for me. So paired choice, aka forced choice, we have 2 stimuli presented at the same time. So every possible combination of stimuli is presented. Think, When presented with two things you really do not like, but you have to make a choice, you'll pick your most preferred based on what was presented to you. And it does not necessarily mean that it's your favorite, but it is your preferred of the two options given to you. So it's kind of like maybe growing up, you guys experienced this. As far as like food, I was a picky eater. So being presented two foods that my parent knew that I didn't like, but I was gonna make a choice because not eating wasn't an option, basically. So when I was presented with two choices, I was gonna pick one, and it didn't necessarily mean that either was my favorite or that I loved either, but I was gonna pick one of them. Next, we have multiple stimulus. This is one that I actually still struggle with. And it is super hard for me to remember. A lot of people just get it quick and they don't forget, but that's not the case for me. So here I have it divided into two. Why? Because there's multiple stimulus with replacement and multiple stimulus without replacement. So let's go over multiple stimulus with replacement. This is an array of 3 or more stimuli. Item chosen remains in the array, and then chosen items are replaced with new items. So let's say you present 3 items to a client. Let's see if I don't mess this up. The item that they choose is going to stay in the choices. And then all the other items that they don't choose, you're going to replace them with different ones. Did I get that right? Yes. And then multiple stimulus without replacement, same, an array of 3 or more stimuli. Items chosen are removed from the choices to be presented next. And then unchosen items remain in the array. So unchosen remain without replacement. Unchosen items are replaced with replacement. Make sense? Yes, I hope so. Thank you for the thumbs up. And then we have single stimulus. This is stimuli are presented one at a time in random order. So approaches and rejections are recorded for each stimuli. This is something as simple. Do you want to play with the iPad? No? Okay, next. And you make a recording of that. Maybe not so monotone and boring how I just said it, but get creative. Then each stimulus should be presented more than once when you're doing single stimulus. This, again, guys, please do not forget, this is not everything that has to do with these topics, but it is, at least in when I was studying and trying to put this together, it was the most important to know about these topics. But it's not everything. Next, we have reinforcer assessments. As far as the implementation of it, we have concurrent schedules, multiple schedules, and then progressive ratio schedules. Concurrent schedules. It's 2 or more contingencies of reinforcement operating independently and simultaneously for 2 or more behavior. Okay, this compares high preference stimulus to low preference stimulus. Think matching law. If you don't know what matching law is, please look into that. That is something, it's known as an AKA for many things. And you're going to see it on questions. It's just going to show up. On a mock test, most of the mock tests that I've taken, it's there. So please look if you're taking anything away from this video, remember matching law. Do your research on that. We might go over that tomorrow, actually. Next, multiple schedules. So this is 2 or more component schedules of reinforcement for single response with only one component schedule. So one of these, an FI, an FR, a VI, and a VR, in effect at any time. Multiple schedule. Progressive ratio schedule. This is requirements for reinforcement increase systematically over time, independent of the client's behavior. Hence, progressive ratio schedule. And that is all for today. Please remember to follow us on Instagram. And how can